I read an interview with yourself online where you said that you always knew that you wanted to go down the sort of entrepreneurial route or, being your own boss. What was it about that lifestyle that you gravitated towards so much?
Well, it was more what repelled me from the alternative. And, I worked a number of jobs growing up, and I never liked having a boss. I never liked having a set schedule. I didn't like most corporate culture. And a lot of this was before the kind of modern tech companies where maybe I would like the culture more. I don't know. I've never tried it, fortunately, and maybe I'll be lucky enough never to have to. But it was really about as I started doing this and realizing that this felt like a way to much more directly determine my fate and determine what my days would look like. And it doesn't mean it was less work. In fact, I would argue it's more. I mean, I'm never really done working in the sense that if the website breaks whenever or if whatever happens, I'm sort of always on in a sense. That's the downside to it. But the upsides are so significant for me that at this point, I consider myself almost broken in terms of being able to work like a normal job. I don't think I could do the thing where, David, we start at 9:15 here. And I noticed that it was 9:45 when you got here. And I really would have a difficult time with that. And I get that it's very privileged and I'm fortunate to be able to be in that position today.
Yeah, I think most entrepreneurs I speak to, they talk about that sort of 5 for 2 trade-off where people give 5 days of their life to building someone else's dream to then get 2 days back on the weekend where they can actually enjoy it. And, there's that old saying that if you love what you do, you'll never really work a day in your life. Is your Monday to Friday a similar feeling to your Saturday and Sunday?
No, it's really not. I mean, one of the things that I noticed early was that this world of news and politics, particularly when it's so online based and the platforms that I publish my content to, it's one of the most toxic things I can imagine for sort of like a someone living in a developed country, right? I mean, I'm not saying that this is like hunger, not having enough to eat or anything like that. I'm not suggesting that. But in terms of the culture, some of the most toxic cultural stuff is following news and politics, particularly through an online space. So we condense our 5 episodes into 4 days a week of filming. And I'd really try to completely tune out as much as is possible news and politics for close to 3 full days a week. Now, as we get closer to elections, it's not really practical and there's more and more weekend rallies and things like this. But I try to create a good line between my working days and my off days. Doesn't mean I'm not doing work, but it's more business strategy and accounting type stuff than it is the news and politics.
Yeah, that's really interesting because I'm certainly no political commentator. I have an interest in politics, maybe you could say that, but certainly not, an intense interest. And I remember there was a brief period of time where I was watching all these political commentators, trying to take in as much info from all over the spectrum as I could. And I remember I probably spent about 3 weeks where I would, tune into these programs every day. And by the end of the 3 weeks, I remember thinking, I can't digest any of this stuff anymore. It's dragging me down. So how do you combat that sort of political burnout that you get when you're just always looking at news and different perspectives? It is quite draining, I found.
I would say three things. I mean, one is what I already mentioned, which is this should be something you're deliberately taking time off from. So that would be the first thing I would say. The second thing would be I would really try to skew my focus towards things where I might be able to have an impact or do something because feeling like you can't, one of the things in jobs that seems to make people have low job satisfaction is feeling like you have no control over the circumstances. And I would apply the same idea to the news that we consume. So whether that means focusing locally or focusing on a particular issue that you might be able to do something about, I think that that's an important thing. And then number three, it's also filling your life with other things altogether that don't relate to the news and politics of the day.